y'all, this is Marla K. Hope everybody is well. Glad to be back. Got some interesting stories that I need to share with you. They are really important. Children of the corn news, but also it is war news. And so we need to be aware of what is happening overseas because it does impact us here in the States, especially Yasharel. So it seems as if the ICC is going to issue warrants for um, Netanyahu, his second in command, and Hamas leaders. Now, I find it interesting the timing because I don't know if it was yesterday or maybe the day before yesterday, Iran's president was killed in a helicopter crash with some other top officials in what was allegedly bad weather, but no one can find any evidence that the weather was bad in that area during that time. So, a lot of interesting stuff happening, but the watchmen are watching and reporting out and telling the truth, and it is a beautiful time to be alive, but it is also a very dangerous time for truth tellers because we know with telling the truth comes persecution because we live in a post-truth world. So let me get into these two stories for you. Well, let me share with you this first story about the helicopter crash in Iran for Iran's president. So it says a helicopter carrying Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi crashed upon landing, state media said. An Iranian official said Raisi's life was at risk. Harsh weather conditions and heavy fog are complicating rescue missions. No signs of life have been detected at the site where um, a helicopter carrying Iran's president crashed, CNN reported, citing Iranian state news agency IRINN. Excuse me. Rescuers spotted parts of the wreckage on a hillside in Iran's East Azerbaijan province early on Monday, but found no survivors, CNN reported, citing the Iranian state media Fars news agency. Russia and Turkey were assisting in the search for President Ebrahim Raisi and 8 other people who crashed in the president's helicopter on Sunday. So this happened on yesterday. Turkey's Disaster and Emergency Management posted on X on Sunday that Iran requested a night vision search for a rescue helicopter. The Emergency Management Authority said it would provide 32 Mountaineer search and rescue personnel in 6 vehicles. CNN reported, citing the state-run Islamic Republic News Agency (IRNA), that Russia also assisted in search and rescue efforts before sending aircraft and 50 professional mountaineer rescuers. The European Union and Saudi Arabia also offered to assist in rescuing the Iranian leader. An Iranian official told state-run media that the lives of Raisi and Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdollahian, excuse me for butchering that, are at risk following the crash. So, from my understanding, this person rebuked the new global order and they mysteriously were yeeted. That's what the streets said. Now, I don't know because I wasn't there, but somebody said they had said they was not signing nothing concerning these new global initiatives that the people are putting out. And so pay close attention to the nations that are going along and the nations or the leaders who are opposing, because this is going to be very telling for um, us, those of us who are awakened and who are watching. It's also going to be very important for us to pay attention because this could kick off the nuclear war. And y'all know um, the children of the corn likely had something to do with it because they are heavily vested in this conflict. Uh, most people don't really realize that the Khazarians run everything, including this country. So they have to do what the Khazarians tell them to do, or run the gamut of a whole lot of things happening. Anyway, let's move on to this next story. ICC prosecutor seeks warrants for Israel's Netanyahu, Gallant, and Hamas leaders, which is very interesting because they never hardly ever issue warrants for white people from white nations who commit crimes against anybody. They just kind of get to go on and go off and seek asylum someplace and live the rest of their days out in peace, unless, depends on the nation. P Daddy, he gets his people. You always hear about somebody in a crash, falling out of a building or some stuff. So, the ICC, which is the International Criminal Court's prosecutor, said on Monday he had requested arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, his defense chief, and 3 Hamas leaders over alleged war crimes. So now, it's very interesting how they went about doing this. So it's like we can't do one. We want to really get Israel, but we can't do that without also getting the other side too, who has less weapons and um, who really have been bullied first, but they're going to punish them for self-defense. So it's like really, it's just interesting to see how the dominant society plays these little games. And no matter what happens, they are always somewhere trying to get out of trouble or play both sides. And that's kind of what's happening now. ICC prosecutor Kareem Khan said in a statement issued after over 7 months of war in Gaza that he had reasonable grounds to believe that all bear criminal responsibility. So now, when it was just one side and when South Africa presented their case, they didn't make a decision, but they waited until things escalated enough so they can have all both sides were bad. We're going to get everybody. So it's just a bunch of bull. But anyway, it's happening. Um, it's not often that the Khazars get in trouble for anything. So we're going to see what happens. Just keep an eye on this story. It's going to be really important. So he said he had applied for an arrest warrant for Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, as well as for Netanyahu. They have overseen Israel's offense against Hamas in Gaza since the Palestinian militant group the militant group's deadly October 7th raid on Israel. He also applied for arrest warrants for Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar, Mohammed Masri, the commander-in-chief of the military wing of Hamas, who is widely known as Deif, and Ismail Haniyeh, head of Hamas's political bureau. It will be up to a panel of pretrial judges to determine whether the evidence supports the issuing of arrest warrants. The court, however, has no means to enforce arrest warrants, and its investigation into Gaza has long been opposed by the United States and Israel. So They're just telling us it's a bunch of bull. So it's just really for show because they have no power. What's the point of having a court if you don't have the power to enforce nothing? The children of the corn. Israel and Palestinian leaders have previously dismissed allegations of committing war crimes. Now, more than ever, we must collectively demonstrate that international humanitarian law, the foundational baseline for human conduct during conflict, applies to all individuals and applies equally across the situations addressed by my office and the court concept. So, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because now we're in this new global order, because everybody's got to, do their part in the movie, whatever is happening. Now, all of a sudden, everybody must be held accountable. But they don't have no teeth to hold people accountable. But you got to give the appearance that you're trying to hold people accountable. It don't make no sense, do it? This is how we will prove tangibly that lives of all human beings have equal value. That don't even make no sense. How you going to prove they have equal value when you have absolutely no way of bringing anybody to justice, forcing anybody to answer to the warrants? You don't have police. You don't have nothing to go get people to bring them to trial. So it's like worthless. It's a waste of time. It's just another one of these little uh, schemes that the dominant society put together a long time ago to mask what it is that they truly do, which is nothing. They don't prosecute themselves. They prosecute and police other groups, non-white people. The allegations against Netanyahu and Gallant include bearing responsibility for starvation of civilians as method of warfare, willfully causing great suffering, and willful killing or murder as a war crime. The Hamas leader faced allegations of bearing responsibility for crimes including extermination and murder, the taking of hostages, torture, rape, and other acts of sexual violence. So, the other reason that I want to talk to y'all about this is because as things escalate here, and especially for African American Black people who do not realize they are in war, they are under siege, they are under attack. When the physical aspects of the war ramp up, like right now, we're like doing kinetic warfare. This is like 5G. They're attacking your mind using social media and your phones and electromagnetic frequencies, nanotechnology, the food. Like we're being attacked in different ways, but most people don't realize that. Bioweapons, all that is part of warfare, and it's stuff that they practice elsewhere before they implement it here. But as things amp up and escalate, things are going to become more violent, and we're going to have to, especially as women, be hyper uh, cognizant of the fact that when war takes place, people turn into monsters because they think they can do things and get away. Well, they can do things and get away with things that they couldn't do ordinarily under regular circumstances. So we must be mindful of this. We must pay attention because it's happening there, it's going to eventually happen here. And when war breaks out, there are no rules. And usually women and children become the victims. They're stolen, made to work, raped, killed, prostituted, gang raped. It's all kinds of things that happen to women and children. And I just don't think we talk about it enough. I don't want to talk about it right now because that's not the point of this um, video. But I want to make a point for you all to pay attention to what happens in war because people who have been to war, been on the front lines, they understand. You know, America has always tried to be the world police and have these moral compasses while they are playing both sides. But other people do war like they did war in the Bible. And, this is just part of human nature to be barbaric and to do things to people that they are opposing or at war with. So we have lots of people that we need to be concerned about, and we're not really prepared. We don't think about war in the way that we should. So pay attention to these stories and what's happening to the people, because soon it will be happening to us here. So, several Israeli ministers and Palestinian representatives denounced the prosecutor's move, drawing parallels between the leaders of democratic country determined to defend itself from despicable terror to leaders of a bloodthirsty terror organization. Hamas is a deep distortion of justice and blatant moral bankruptcy, Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz said. And so what's happening is the whole world is watching how the alleged chosen people are so cruel and barbaric, like for no reason. And they've been doing stuff all along, and everybody's like, wait a minute, we can't talk about what they're doing. We can't mention them. We can't say their name. They tell us what to say. So like everybody's waking up to the fact now that something ain't right. And they're like literally seeing the inequity in the persecution. They're saying, oh, they're hitting me. But it's like you putting tape on the person's mouth that you're hitting, and you're kicking them and stomping them and telling them, don't say nothing. You better not scream. It's like, how your parents used to spank you and tell you, you better not cry. Suck it up, I'm going to give you something to cry about. That's what's been happening here. So it's just weird. Senior Hamas official Sami Abu Zuri said the prosecutor's decision to request warrants for the three Hamas leaders equates the victim with the executioner. The ICC is the world's first permanent international war crimes court. Its 124 member states are obliged to immediately arrest the wanted person if they are on a member state's territory, but the court has no means to enforce arrest warrants. So that's why they did that to Putin. And when Putin was supposed to go to South Africa, he didn't go because South Africa is a part of the ICC. So if Putin had have gone to um, South Africa when they had the BRICS meeting, he could have been arrested, or anything could have happened to him, because they issued an arrest warrant for him for the war crimes they say he committed in Ukraine. So, if they, and that's why a lot of these leaders, when they flee their country, they go someplace to a nation that is not a member of the ICC and who is not going to pick them up and try to enforce the warrant. So it says Israel and its main ally, the United States, are not members of the ICC, along with China and Russia. And so that is why when a lot of times stuff happens to leaders, they sneak them here. They end up in Florida or in DC at Camp David or someplace like that. So sometimes these leaders flee their nations and they come here. So I would not be surprised if we have visitors. I'll just say that. At least 35,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, according to the Enclave's health ministry. And aid agencies have also warned of widespread hunger and dire shortages of fuel and medical supplies. Some 1,200 people were killed and more than 250 taken hostage in the Hamas-led October 7th rampage, according to Israeli tallies. But there has been some conflicting information about their numbers. So I don't know. But when you compare 35,000 to 1,200, how do you say They've both been bad. Only people can say that are the children of the corn, who have a very skewed way of looking at everything. So anyway, I want to share those stories with you because the narrative is getting ready to change. And that means there's getting ready to be either an escalation in the war or something else is getting ready to happen. But it's significant, and we need to pay attention. All right, please like this video, share it, and share it. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you'll be notified each and every time I upload new content. Please, 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 please follow me on Rumble, Odyssey, Instagram, and on Facebook. In the event that the channel goes down and I'm unable to post stuff here on YouTube, I can communicate with you on other platforms if they are still up. If you'd like to support the channel, my Venmo and Coffee links are at the very bottom of the description box. And most importantly, please keep crying out to the Most High, because it's getting real exhausting living here. I'm tired. And there's just a lot of stuff happening all over the place. There's so much stuff, like I said, we can't hardly keep up with it. And I've seen other watchmen also say the same thing, like it's just a lot to focus on. But we have to watch everything. The Bible tells us to keep watch. Torah tells you to keep watch. You must keep watch. It's not a suggestion. It is a command to keep watch, because you will not know when the end is coming. You will not know the time of troubles if you're not watching. So continue to watch, continue to pray, continue to seek the Most High, continue to repent for your sins daily, sins of commission and sins of omission. Make sure you're turning away from your iniquities, because we are living in some wild times and they're only going to get stranger. All right, y'all, this is Molly K, and I'm out.